Thinking of investing, working, or starting a business in the cannabis industry? We've got you covered right here on Plant Problems. Hosted by Tony Frischknecht, Plant Problems takes a different approach to cannabis than what you're seeing and hearing from the mainstream media. Come along with Tony and be in the know about how to invest, work, or start a cannabis business. Let's get the show started with your host, Tony Frischknecht.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Plant Problems. Thanks so much for joining me today. Well, there's a lot of seminar events happening online right now, and some big ones like MJ BizCon is actually happening this week, which is one of the bigger ones in the industry. And every year I've gone to this event, at least 7 times now. So they started back in 2010, and they're one of the larger cannabis event shows that put on. So I'm going to be checking that out over the next couple days. And it never fails when we're always looking for, especially in the industry, we're looking for payment processing, new ideas, and things that can actually help us run our business cash free and stay within the regulations. I think that's one of the toughest things. I have been in the ups and downs of having a bank account shut down on me every month for over a year. I've been stuck with paying my employees straight up cash. We did that for almost a year. That was an insane time. And so anytime I see some new stuff coming out that's interesting to me, I try to share what's new in the field of cash management and banking. So today my guest, he is the CTO of KIND Financials. He's been in the technology, manufacturing, and retail world for the last 20 years. He is founder and principal of several ventures. He's also known for his extensive tech, hardware, and software knowledge. Dan Stofka, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well. So you've got some new stuff that you're working on, and I'm excited to kind of understand what's happening with you. And I believe the app and the form you created is called KindPay, cash-free touchless payments. Dan, let's go back a little bit before we get into this. What is your background in the cannabis world?
Well, I started at the beginning. As you know, I think we've been working together since nearly the beginning of the inception of the industry in Colorado. And before that, I had an extensive tech background. I helped Office Depot develop their tech repair program that they deployed at all of their stores. I've managed Best Buys. I've done the retail circuit as well. And most recently, essentially when the market came about, I saw a gap with the technology piece, predominantly the security piece. And I started a company with some friends doing essentially that. And when regulations were about to take effect, we worked with the regulators in Colorado and basically got them to agree that if anyone had our paperwork, because at the time, going back to that, ADT wouldn't service the industry. A lot of people wouldn't service the industry. And so you had dozens of spots that were opening up that all needed security, and no one would help them. So we asked the MED if they would allow us to give these guys a contract, and if they had our contract, to know that they're on our list and we're going to get to them and we're going to take care of that security, that they would give them a pass. And they agreed to that. And so I started off with, I think, 12 or 14 contracts at the time, and started working them, basically one a month is what we could do. So that was about a year of work. And at some point in all of that, Agrisoft was a software company in the space, and they were looking for help. They were looking for an industry insider that kind of knew the ins and outs and could get their program off the ground, and also had this tie-in with all the security stuff. The initial thought there was that we were going to tie in all the cameras, all the door access, and you would have one portal for all that. Agrosoft had its day, and essentially was purchased by KIND Financial, and I think that was about 6 years ago now. So for the last 6 years, we've been working on regulatory processing. So we control basically the cannabis market in Rhode Island right now. We basically work extensively on their home grow program. I think it's the only one of its kind still where we're tracking essentially all of the home grows. It's a big point of diversion in a lot of states that have a home grow rule. And so we've capitalized on that for the state and given them a source of revenue to work on regulations and to work to basically control that market. And then we also work on their commercial aspects as well. So from a government regulatory standpoint, we're still proving out our model there. That's the only state that we have. But in the middle of that, obviously, the reason why KindPay was formed initially was to help people with banking and to figure out the banking problem. And so the last 6 years, we've been spending a lot of time trying to figure this problem out, and we're just now finding the right partners and getting it off the ground.
Okay, so for those that are not familiar with the problems that with banking, I mean, I would say the majority of society knows that cannabis has a problem banking. We know that, right? There's not a lot of other discussions in why it's so challenging. You've spent 6 years working on this. What are the hurdles that you've had? What are the major hurdles that you've had to overcome to get to this point to actually launch this thing?
Essentially, what you come to is a place where you have a partner bank, a bank that's essentially willing to go down this path with you, and they need to be a large enough bank that they're essentially a chartered bank, and they have to understand this industry as well. As you just mentioned, there's not many people banking this industry. I think the last time I looked, it was around 550 banks that are banking.
That's in the U.S., right? That's in the
U.S. Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we're around 7,000 to 8,000 entities in the space. So that doesn't leave a lot of choices, especially when you consider regional and cash pickup and all of the extra due diligence that banks have to do on these types of businesses. So really, the largest part of the problem was finding the right partner, and I think we've done that with Herring Bank.
Why do banks shy away from this? Why is the majority of reasons where we're not seeing very many banks still not adapting to the cannabis industry?
I mean, first and foremost, it's still federally illegal. So that means that they have. It really equates to a lot of paperwork. You have SARS reporting that the banks have to do very consistently with any MRB or a cash-intensive business. They're going to have to continually flag the feds and let them know what's going on with how much money is coming in and how much they're processing. And I think the other major thing is the due diligence. They basically have to make sure that any business that they bank is following the rule of the law, particularly if it's an MRB and they have and they're working on a market that basically is federally illegal. So they have to do a yearly check that's pretty invasive on any business like this, where they're checking the security protocols, the camera systems, the everything in accounting, obviously, what systems you have in place to do point of sale. I mean, really, it's an intrinsic look at everything that the business is doing to understand if they're skirting in any spot. And I think that's why fewer banks want to do it. You're also taking on a risk profile, right? You're increasing your level of risk, and the size of the bank is going to warrant how much risk they can take on. If they're a smaller bank, they just may not have the ability to safely bank that many cash-intensive businesses. So you also have a lot of that.
So is Herring Bank, are they a credit union?
Not that I'm aware. I'm pretty sure they're just a chartered
Okay.
bank institution.
Okay, yeah, because most of the ones I know here in Colorado that are banking are all credit unions. They've been able to. Uh, the big banks are a lot less. What I've noticed is the big banks are a lot less willing to take any of those risks. But the credit unions seem to be the ones that are like, all right, well, we'll try it out. We'll try to put this together.
I can definitely say that that's true. That the majority of the institutions that are banking are more at that level rather than like the Chase level. Herring's fairly large though, and the program that we've developed with them is not a new invention by any means. It's a very standard wheel that we're just putting on a new vehicle.
So there's hundreds of companies that say they have the answer.
Sure.
You know, what do you see is the answer to make it simple for the customer and the retailer?
Well, I hope at least that we've covered those bases. So first and foremost, the consumer app will be on the Google Play Store and on the Apple Store for download. You're not going to have to go to some weird obscure place to get the file or the program essentially. So ease of use in terms of downloading and getting that set up. We have spent a lot of time on the user experience as well. So it operates, I would say, it's similar to like say a Starbucks card. When you go in, you can initially load the account. So essentially, you download the app on your phone and you register. So you're going to give them your phone number, your name, and your email, some basic things. They're going to verify your phone number by sending a code, and then essentially you have a KindPay account. And at that junction, you're able to load that account.
So you can, what I think of about is kind of the example is Venmo. You have your bank account that's tied to your Venmo account, and then you load, or you can make payments out of your account through Venmo. Is that very similar to this?
Yeah, it is. Essentially we're using a QR code to facilitate the transaction. So you would go into the shop, you'd have your account loaded, and you'd be making a purchase. The merchant would key in the amount of the purchase, and then you would present your QR code that's on your screen. You just basically click Pay in Store, and it shows a code. They scan that code, you confirm the amount, and the transaction's done. Because it's a closed loop system, that's basically a transfer from one bank account to another bank account in the same financial institution. And that's really what is setting us aside, because we can guarantee those funds immediately. So they're in your account same day, and they're available to the merchant next day. So the reporting is real time. You're not waiting days or weeks for a settlement and for funds to hit your account. They're immediately available to you. So I think that solves a huge problem for a lot of businesses in this space. And then obviously we're taking cash out of the transaction, out of the equation. So by doing that, you have less cash transaction fees, less cash processing, less cash pickups. And on top of that, I think that the account levels that Herring have set up in terms of managing those accounts are more than competitive with what else is out there. So just as a standard bank account from apples to apples, I think they're really doing a lot. And they already have around 500 cash-intensive businesses in cannabis and likewise CBD and so forth that they already bank. So they're really familiar with this market.
So this seems too easy, man. I'm telling you, I'm looking at this. I've seen the programs that people have put together over the last 10 years. Everything from, well, we accept your cash in there, and then we get a printout, and then we have, the bank truck comes by, picks up all that cash, then we issue you credits. what is going on with the rest of the payment world right now when you're looking at something like this?
I think it completely boils down to not having the partner. If you have an ACH transfer system, which is a common model out there, there's even some apps out there that allow that. You're processing ACH, so you have delays in the time it takes to get those funds from A to B. You could have canceled checks in the process of that, where you have something that's flagged while it's in the air. That can cause issues, and just generally, it's going to take longer for that to work. It's a little clunkier because you're a third party in that scenario, dealing with two different financial institutions in most cases. Whereas we essentially are the financial institution. Everything starts and stops in this ecosystem. So, I think it basically is just filling a gap that's been there for a very long time, that no major financial institution has decided to take on, and we found the partner to do so.
So with this partner, obviously there's, somebody's got to get paid for transactions. So
Sure.
we're, running as a retail store, I'm used to paying a percentage of each transaction to the merchant company that the credit cards are running through. How does KindPay make money? I mean, how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, so essentially the consumer app is free. The consumer process is completely free. No more reverse ATM fees or anything like that you're applying to the consumer. I mean, I really think this is just bringing something that's very common in other markets to this market. So essentially your ability to load that with either a debit or credit card on your account is really something that no one else has done in the space. And in terms of cost, it's all on the merchant, right? So we're having a sliding scale that will start at 5%. So that's your standard go at it.
Okay. So it's a bit higher when you look at it from face value of a regular merchant account.
Right. Yeah. Typical credit card processing, probably between 2.5 and 3.5. Most of the time.
So let's discuss on the end of the retail store, if they're paying their, let's say 5%, what kind of savings is that for them as opposed to using a regular bank, some of the banks that are banking right now?
Well, if they determining by how much revenue they're processing with us, the account management fees will go away or drop to the ground. So you don't have any more of your typical bank fees. I think a lot of banks will charge $1,000 or $2,000 a month just to hold the account. So you remove that. You're also removing cash from the equation, so you don't have as many cash pickups, obviously. And then you're also offering another payment mechanism. The consumer is no longer tied to how much can I pull out of the ATM or how much cash do I have on hand. It's literally now what's my limit on my bank account on my debit card or my credit card transfer. And we give them a limit up to 995 in the system. So you're extending the ability for the clients to spend more. So I think that we'll see cart sizes increase generally because of that added functionality, that added ability. And we're hoping that not only squashes any processing fees that we would charge, but also obviously gets them above and beyond.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that might hold you a little bit tighter is the regulations and what's allowed in that state, right? So your THC levels and different stuff like that. But that's pretty cool, man. I know, having that issue of, if you guys are out there listening and you're like, yeah, I've had this stupid ATM machine, or you guys are just starting business. This is I haven't not used the app yet, but I haven't seen anything more simple than this at this point. Like I said, people are familiar with Venmo and many of these trading apps. Zelle's another one, right? It's pretty much the same thing, but just for cannabis.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, it is a closed loop system. So, a lot of universities will use a model like this, where you have it for your commissary or whatever, even in a jail as well. You have some type of closed loop system where your family member is funding that, or you're adding funds to that, and then you're using it at the shop at the university. And actually, Herring Bank has ran a program like that, so they're very used to this entire ecosystem. The only differentiation right now is that we've built out these apps, and they've become more of a digital wallet rather than a handheld card.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions on being a business owner. You took 6 years to create this. Why did you take so long?
Well, we think it's the end all be all, right? And it's kind of hopefully the last domino to fall, to make these businesses operate legitimately, or feel that they're operating legitimately. It seems like one of the bigger needs to fill, and our company has historically tried to go after some of those bigger ticket items. We went down the regulatory path, because we saw it as a way to control the market and obviously regulate the market. And we knew that regulation was imperative if you're going to get banking. It all seemed to fall together for us. So, I mean, the long and the short of it is you see a need, fill a need.
Yeah, it's tough. I think the challenging part is talking with a new business owner and saying, look, this could take 6 years. This could take 10 years. I mean, going back before you even started the payment processing like this, did you feel that it was going to take you 6 years to get to this point?
No, and we've had other partners in the space too, that have either not been in the U.S. or we had a partner in Canada at one point, and we were trying to work with them to get this working in the U.S. and it just didn't pan out. So there's been a lot of I don't want to call them missteps, but just there's been a lot of conversations to get to the one person that's willing to take those risks and to go down the path with you.
Yeah, those people and companies are few and far between. I know they take some time. Patience has a lot to do with it.
You basically got 500 people, right? You have 500 bank owners, and one of them said yes.
Yeah, it seems that the good things and the good companies that are built, you hear these stories. You know what? We asked 499 and the guy said no, and we asked 500 and poof, finally we had somebody believe in us.
Yeah. I mean, we could definitely all write books with the troubles and the hurdles we've tried to or had to get over. So, but and it's just not over yet. We're just about to release this to the Apple Store, and so it almost feels like the beginning again. I mean, I'm sure you're used to that too. It's like you go around the block and then you're back at the start again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow. You're like, oh, I thought we were almost there. Let's take this and run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess we're starting over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so the last question here. How do you think this is going to increase the trust in the cannabis industry?
Well, I think bringing everyday tools that are in other industries to this industry is first and foremost the way that it's going to happen. Everyone's used, like you said, everyone's used to the Venmos and the PayPals of the world, and really we're just trying to do that for high and cash intensive businesses that are in a very similar place. So. I think ultimately it's just bringing something that everyone's used to in other places to this market. And I think that's what will do it. That's what will help legitimize and bring it to another level.
Well, I'm super excited to come check this out and actually try it and run it through the store and see how it works, because I think you're onto something here, man. I for those owners out there that aren't even open yet, I would really take a look at this. So if you go to GetKindPay.com, you can kind of read a little bit about it. It explains everything. You can sign up. They've got a nice video there that you can follow through. Looks pretty simple and easy to follow. But saving time as a business owner, and I can't stress enough how much time we wasted as owners not being able to work on our business because we were worried about where the cash was sitting, how to get it to the bank, how to make our monthly payments on our mortgage or rent, or all these things that have problems with cash. I think it's amazing, man. I'm really impressed with it.
I mean, I think you also have a lot of the people that are still fighting to find the bank account, especially if they're starting
100%.
off. And this is a legitimate way for that business to be banked normally with, within normal fees and just a normal process. Being able to, like you said, pay your bills and just pay payroll, use normal services. That's what it's all about. So our first beta testers are going to be Harborside and Euphoria. And then we're going to expand that program through December.
Just so the listener knows out there and the people watching this video, if you guys aren't familiar with Harborside, they're pretty much, I would say, the very first dispensary was ever created. There's a ton of stuff. I would Google them and check them out. A massive company, especially when it comes to fighting for our industry. They have done huge expenses into fighting the government, IRS, federal government on so many levels. So I just want to point those guys out. So that's a huge one you guys have there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think starting with them and Euphoria, has 7 stores in Colorado and California now. So we see them as good multi-regional merchants that essentially we can test this all out on. So, as a merchant, you get a merchant dashboard. You're able to manage your employees, manage your users, and essentially get transactional data and everything that you need from the system through that dashboard. So the tablet that we use in the store to accept the payment, it's literally all it does is just scan QR codes and make those transfers happen. So the merchant app could not be simpler. The rest of it's handled from the web app. And we can typically get a new merchant on board within about a week to 2. And most of that comes down to how quickly the organization can get us all the documents that we need to vet them.
Well, I look forward to talking to you in the next 6 months and see how it's going, because this is gonna. I have a feeling it's gonna blow up. So
we're doing 2 things in the next 6 months. We're going to incorporate a loyalty program, and that loyalty program, the basis of it will be that you're able to use your points from one store at another store. So your points will become global. You'll no longer just have points at A and points at B.
Oh, that's great. So,
and the other thing is that we'll be releasing the merchant app on Apple as well, so you'll be able to use Apple devices there. This works for delivery drivers. This works for drive-throughs, all contactless. You're just showing your phone and scanning a code. So,
well, that's awesome. Well,
and then the other thing was the B2B stuff. A lot of people, as you mentioned, are trying to pay their bills. We're going to work out a program on the B2B side so that you could use KindPay to pay your vendors.
Well, that's another time saver. Great. Well, I encourage you guys out there, if you're looking at some of these different services, please go check out GetKindPay.com. And Dan, he will have his contact info will be in the blog info of plantproblems.com. I call this show Plant Problems for a reason, because I'm trying to bring solutions to you guys out there and make it easier for you to just run your business. I get nothing from Dan. I look at some of these things, and there's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of people that are taking advantage of the new business owner that's trying to make it. And, I like to put out there. I know I've worked, like Dan's mentioned in the beginning, I worked with him on several other projects, and he's always done me good, and we've never had any long-term situations. And when you're looking at people that are running companies like that, that's what I look for, is people that I can trust and people I can go to fix my problems when I have some. So Dan, thanks so much for being on the show today, and I wish you the greatest success on this product, and I hope to talk to you here in the next few months and see how things are going, and we can kind of follow up if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, that'd be great to recap. Thank you again for having me. It's always fun.
Awesome. Hey guys, please reach out to me if you have any questions, whether it be about KindPay or any other episodes. You can catch me on my blog at plantproblem.com. And thanks so much for listening. See you guys next time.
You've just listened to another insightful episode of Plant Problems. If you like what you heard so far, don't forget to tell your friends and colleagues. For additional resources or to leave a review, head over to plantproblem.com. Join us again next week on Plant Problems with Tony Frischknecht. We look forward to having conversations with you as we go along this journey.